Mike. I know you know what you're doing. So, oh, and let me.
This is Mike Donahue. I am the academic director or actually interim academic director and program director for the Master of Science in Technology Leadership. And thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to join us for this session. What we'd love to do is spend some time talking about our curriculum and kind of how we put the curriculum together, how do we design it, and also give you a little bit of a sense or seeing into how we modify the curriculum, because we're actually continually updating the curriculum. So I thought it'd be good to kind of give you, pick two courses that we're playing with and how we make the changes to those courses. But let me first introduce myself. So I'm Mike Donahue. I spent a career in technology all the way from graduating with an engineering degree, actually doing engineering, then going and spending some time in packaged goods marketing, spent some time doing strategy consulting, and then wandered off into the startup world and got to learn about venture capitalists, learn about raising money, and actually invested in a number of startups, and so have that viewpoint as well. So I am the program director. I also teach the finance class for finance and business strategy class that we're actually in session right now talking about. And then I teach an undergraduate engineering course. So I have a pretty broad perspective on this topic. And what I would say is, happy if at any point in time, if you have a question, just feel free to throw something in the chat, put it in the Q&A, because I know, obviously I've been involved with this for a while, so I may use terms that don't make any sense, or I might just not make any sense. So feel free to interrupt me at any point in time with any specific questions that you have. So let's get started. So today I'll talk a little bit about some of the student outcomes, because we think it's super important as we think about the curriculum to really understand what are the students trying to achieve. Then we zip over and spend some time talking about the curriculum that we have, and then we'll wrap up with kind of a program overview, application process, and then see if there's any final questions. So let's look at the value proposition as we see it, or at least the way that I frame it. So the students that we have coming into the program, they're mid-career. Now mid-career could be anywhere from people 3 years out of undergrad to people 20 plus years out of undergrad. It's really a broad range of time frame. They are all in the science or technology profession. Somehow, some way. They have a track record of achievement. And probably what differentiates people is the fact that they have some leadership aspiration. So the idea is they want to go from their current position to something that's different. So that could be, in their new organization or in their existing organization. It could be a new organization, or there could even be looking at a startup potential, but it's really the idea of something bigger and something broader. And so with that, they probably need, maybe new skills, maybe a little bit of a different mindset. They may need a different network. They may need a broader or specific Brown University network. And then they may be interested more in professional development. So kind of take that 360 view at themselves and understanding how that works. So that's really how we develop the program. So we really start off with this concept of our desire is for the student to have a transformational experience. And what that means is that the student themselves feel that they're different. And ideally that the people around them feel that they're different. So not only does the student feel that they've seen something, but let's say their organization, or when they interview within a new organization or their existing organization, that they see something different in the person. So that's really the way that we try to frame this. So part of this is what we understand is that the world is becoming a more complex space out there. I mean, you've got, and we all see it. I mean, we're all still living through COVID and the implications of COVID, but there's disruptive technology that we see. We obviously see a lot more government intervention, both in the U.S. and certainly in Europe. Europe's are probably a little bit more aggressive from an intervention perspective, and a lot of the new standards are coming out of Europe. We're seeing globalization. I mean, what happens in China is very important to what happens in the U.S., and I think we're becoming much more of a global economy. And as with everything, competition is fierce. Customer expectations just continue to get more aggressive. And then you always have to think about your employees and what their needs are. The big question in tech now is, what's work from home going to look like? Is it going to be, are we going to go back to business as usual? Are we going to go to something that's revised? I mean, that's the topic in the C-suite these days of how should the policy change. And then, as always, you've got the investors. You've got a lot more activist investors out there. So the bottom line is the technology leader has a lot on their plate and has to be able to think from many different perspectives. So we really see the transformation occurring across really a broad set of fronts, be it from a technology, from a financial, from a leadership, from a communication, from a customer and employee empathy. I mean, it's really important. And then, we get into a lot more ethical discussions because, with like artificial intelligence and machine learning, just because you can do it, should you do it? And are you bringing in biases that you didn't even think about? So it's becoming a very challenging environment. And so really the approach that we take is we really have the commitment that it's got to be transformative and relevant. And really what we continue to focus on is what are the outcomes that the students are looking for. I mean, one of the big outcomes that the students are looking for is promotion to the next level. And that's something that we take very seriously and is very important, and something that we track. And so what we typically find is within 12 months of graduation, 85% of the cohort's been promoted. About 50% are promoted while they're still in the program. So that's, if I had to dimensionalize it and give you one specific anchor point, I think that's probably the biggest anchor point that I would have. Now, what we try to do is, we very much get student feedback, and this is from our marketing team of getting feedback in terms of what students are looking for in the program. We also get feedback from any of the coursework. So after we complete a course, the students fill out a survey, and then we pour over the survey results to understand what we can do differently. The nice thing is we also have an advisory board. The advisory board are industry practitioners. So these are the leaders in the industry. So they keep helping us understand what are some of the new and emerging trends that we need to take into account. And they've been really very generous with their time and generous with their perspective in terms of what this looks like. So we just recently had a meeting where we did a curriculum review, and they gave us really amazing feedback in terms of things that we need to change. So it's almost like, what do we keep doing? What do we stop doing? And what do we start doing? So it's been really good. The other thing is best practices. We always look out to the competitive set of programs. We really think that we're maybe a little bit more of a niche program. We don't have any really direct competitors, but we always are looking to the outside world and to the competitive scenarios, both from other university perspective and even from in-house training. I come from a number of companies where they would invest very aggressively in training employees. So we want to make sure that we're relevant on all those different perspectives. So basically, as we look at the curriculum, this is basically it. I would say that, probably a couple of things beyond this is, number one, we're starting to add more electives to the program. So I just this week, we've gotten the approval to add electives into the current cohort's position, so that they are able to look at Brown graduate program and really identify other courses that they'd like to take as electives. And we've got a mechanism in place to be able to do that. So we're hopefully over time going to be able to show some more expansive options, because in the past we've always said, okay, this is your curriculum, but in the future we're going to expand the curriculum beyond just these items. But then with these items, I'd say we're breaking up into really what I would say our foundation, and then the new and revised. So the foundation element, these are things that we've had since the beginning. These are classes that are perennially very well rated. I think all of the professors have been pretty much the same professors since we started the program, and we just continue to get rave reviews from these things. So that's professional development, leadership, persuasive communication, technology and leadership in a changing environment, and then finance and business strategy. So I teach the finance and business strategy perspective, but I would say that these courses, really build the foundation, and we actually kind of start the first half of the program with these courses. So we build that foundation early in the program. Then we start getting into the courses that are a little bit newer, or maybe things that we're revising. So that's big data, machine learning. That was something that we just introduced recently due to feedback both from students and also from our advisory committee. Unlocking value globally and the Immersion program. We have continued to modify and change this program, and I'll use this as a specific example of what we've changed. Emerging technology and innovation system ecosystems. I'll talk a little bit about that as well. Strategic decision making. We're revising that class. And the critical challenge project is something that we believe is an anchor, but we continue to look for new and different ways of changing that program. So I can talk a little bit about that. So basically, looking at like strategic decision making, this is a course that we really decided that we wanted to spend more time, because as we all know that making decisions is one of the biggest things that you can do from a technology perspective. And it could be like an ethical decision that you have in terms of data privacy. It could be a decision around technology platform. It could be a decision about monetizing customers. But really what we're trying to do is be able to look at it both from the rational side and then maybe from the irrational side, of being able to understand that both of these pieces kind of come into play as you look at decision making. And so what we thought we'd do is we kind of bring that in and really have that discussion and really be able to look at it. Now, the other thing too is all the way throughout the program, like in my finance and business strategy class, I really spend a lot of time framing how do you look at a decision from the lens of finance and like a net present value or internal rate of return. And so I will bring that to the equation, but this class is really trying to bring all those different perspectives together into one particular viewpoint, and really to integrate this into an overall decision-making perspective. The other thing is, recently it's been interesting. We've had a lot more students come into the program looking to do startups, and so what we decided that we would do is we would modify one of our courses and make it into more of a entrepreneurial leadership. So the idea is, how do you launch and monetize a startup idea? So this is all the way from, developing the idea to incubating the idea to getting your co-founders, building your team, and ultimately having an exit that would be successful. And then part of it too is also, I think, looking at all the different aspects of Brown University and how, be it the Nelson Center for the Entrepreneurship could help, or even the VC community that's around Brown University could help the students. So, once again, tremendous interest, in the last two cohorts with this piece. So now, if we look at the global piece, what we've decided to do is actually combine the unlocking value globally with international immersion, and we're partnering with IE Business School to be able to do both of these. And we're actually using a professor from the IE Business School to teach this class. So that way it's kind of a nice integrated approach. You're going to be able to look at some of these concepts, be it, how to think about China, how to think about, going beyond just a view of North America, and how you need to think about this. The nice thing is we get to go to Madrid and Segovia, which I know from the current cohort and the previous cohort, they were huge fans of Spain. So that's been very, very helpful. Now, the capstone is something that's very important to the program, because what we try to do is make this something that's specific to you. Like, what are you trying to achieve? What are you trying to do? What is that next specific goal that you're trying to do? So if it's a startup, that would be a great capstone project. If it's a new position, let's say you want to become the CISO in the organization or the CIO, that's always a great thing to wrap this around. Or, if within your current organization, if you're trying to get the organization to help fund the program, well, let's make it important to your company and focus it from that perspective. So that's something that we spend a lot of time, and it's really like your independent study where, Brown University will support you in this area. Now, one of the big differentiators, because people, I've been interviewing a lot of candidates for the program, and they always come back to me and say, okay, Mike, what's different? What's unique about Brown? And I would say one of the big things is the world-class faculty. I think, this is a small program. It's not that big, but what you find with the faculty at Brown University is the fact that they like developing relationships with the students. And personally, I have relationships with many of the students who are in the cohort and actually alumni of the program. So, and to give you an example, like this week, I had one person who is like, oh, Mike, I'm in the cohort. I just interviewed for the CISO job. I didn't make it. Like, could we do a mock interview? So he's going to give me a lot of information, and then I'm going to give him a mock interview next week. The other person I had a call with this week was an individual from Google. She graduated from the program, and she is trying to sort through her career and her career options at Google. So the good news is once she graduated, she got a big promotion to a chief of staff role within Google. And then now she's trying to understand how to leverage that into some other positions. So we have bi-weekly calls, kind of get an update on that. So I think that's one of the things that you're going to see, is that you're going to learn a lot from the faculty while you're here, but then the idea is developing a relationship longer term. Just to give you a little bit of an update, we talked about the Capstone project, and here we have Amber, who she came in with this idea of like a startup idea. So she had the idea. Eddie came in and became her investor, so he's in the cohort as well. And so the good news is they were able to, in this last cohort, they had the startup idea, and then they sold their startup even while they were in the program. So 2 months before they graduated, they were able to sell their idea. So that was very positive. We also have Donahue on the lower left side. Donahue came in with this idea, the fact that he wanted to move from his current company into one of the other big tech giants. He was at Lyft. And the good news is he ended up, once again, before he graduated, getting a great position at Apple. And then we have Ahmed, who he had done some startups before. He had gone into the consulting world, and he wanted to go into the startup land. So he went back to better.com. And the good news is, and it was funny because we were talking about salary cap, we were talking about exit strategy. I told him, I go, Ahmed, I bet you're going to link up with a SPAC and you're going to IPO that way. And it turns out he just sent me a note 2 weeks ago to say that that's exactly what happened. So anyways, just to dimensionalize some of the things that we're talking about, that would be the update. So basically the overview of the program. So it's both blended online program with a residency program. It's about 16 months. We have people with about an average of 10 years of work experience. And then we partner with the School of Engineering to give you a Master of Science from the School of Engineering, which we have found very beneficial to many of the graduates of the program. So the typical profile, about 28 people in the cohort. So it's on the smaller side. We never want to be like 100, 200 person cohort. We'll never get to that level. We don't have that aspiration. We love the fact that we have like a 50-50 ratio with regards to gender. We're getting a bump up in terms of students of color. And then we're actually delivering a little bit higher on the average years of experience. But as you can see from the companies on the right-hand side of the page, tremendous diversity. I mean, that's I guess another differentiator for students is that they are shocked at the diversity of the people that we have that come into the program, which benefits them because really then you not only learn from your professors, but then you also learn from your other members of the cohort, and we absolutely push for that. A lot of teaming. We form teams. We have a lot of team assignments. And then many times, like even I just got done teaching the residency part of my class, and I said, hey, listen, you could either do an individual project or individual write up, or if you want to do a team write up, I'm happy to do it either way. And of course, the the incentive there is for the teams to do stuff. So basically, the application is it's pretty straightforward. I think the big things are your personal statements. So why do you want to come into the program? That's something it's important to me. Your critical challenge project or your capstone project. I just really have a sense of what you're trying to do in the future. And then we like to see 3 letters of recommendation. You put in your resume or CV, and then the official transcripts. What we don't need is any type of GMAT or GRE score. We just find it doesn't make a difference one way or the other in terms of what that looks like. So that's the process. In terms of the early decision advantage, we have a priority due date that's coming up June 1st. And I would encourage you to be able to apply early because number one, we have more scholarship funds available, a little bit better acceptance rate. It's just similar to undergrad where it's like the early decision time period. It'll reduce your uncertainty in terms of understanding what we have, and then we have the veteran support. There's a question about can we share the deck, and especially to have these dates. Yeah, we'll share this deck with everybody that's on the call. So thank you for that question. So those are the dates in terms of what it looks like. Oh, and by the way, let me also mention on the previous slide is that we do have veteran support both from a scholarship funding perspective, and we're huge fans. Generally about 20 to 30% of the cohort is either active military or retired military, or they've had military experience, and we're huge fans of that. In fact, the individual that I'm talking to from that's looking at the CISO, he's in the military right now, and then he's trying to transition into the private sector. So we have that. So what I would say is this is like the initial conversation, and I know this is like a big decision. You need a lot of discussion. And what I would say is both Susan and I are both available. We'd love to chat with you. We'd love to understand your situation, what you're trying to do, and what you're thinking about, and then how you can structure your application in a way that you'll have a favorable acceptance into the program. So what I would say is we're here to have these conversations, and we'll spend as much time. And Susan is just a pro at this. I mean, she just is so good, and she's been with the program since the beginning, so she has a very clear understanding with what's going on. So let me end there and say thank you so much for your time today. It's been a pleasure talking about the program. And once again, Susan and I both want to hear from you, so feel free to reach out to us and to let us know how we can help you with this very, very important decision. So thank you so much. Hope you have a great rest of your day, and hope you have a great weekend. Take care. Bye.